Hello, this is Kathleen in the Air Lab at Marquette University. Alright, so at this point in the Co-Robots for CompuGirls camp, you should know how to make your robot move using Python, and you should also know how to use text-to-speech to make it say things. Alright, so now we're going to learn how to use a for loop. So a loop in programming is very important because it allows you to repeat the same lines of code without having to type it out over and over again. So if you wanted something to happen 1,000 times, you would just write a loop to make it happen 1,000 times. You wouldn't actually have to type the same line in over and over and over again. All right, so to do that, we need to know the proper syntax. So we're gonna write for is the beginning of a for loop, for x in range from 0, comma, to 3. So what this line, and a colon, so what this line means is it starts a variable for you called x, and then while it's in range of between 0 and 3, it's going to do whatever you write in the loop. All right, so the variable is going to start at 0 because you tell it to start at 0, and then every time it runs the loop, it's going to get bumped up 1, so it'll go from 0 to 1 to 2. And then it will stop because once it equals 3, it won't do what's in the loop anymore because we told it to only happen when it's between, when it's 0 to 3. So we're gonna hit enter, and then we're tabbed in one, and that's important for the syntax of the loop. You must be tabbed in for it to recognize it as part of the loop. And then we're gonna have it do something. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and use the tts.say, open parentheses, open quotations, to say I'm in a for loop. All right, and then once we're out of the for loop, I'm gonna also have it say tts.say I'm done with the for loop. All right, so what should happen now is it should say I'm in a for loop, I'm in a for loop, I'm in a for loop, and it will say done with the for loop. So let's run this.
I'm in a for loop. I'm in a for loop. I'm in a for loop. Done with the for loop.
All right, so she says for loop really fast. I kind of think it sounds like Fruit Loop. But what happened was it ran it 3 times because we told it to do it 3 times, and then it broke out of it. All right, another kind of cool way to track where you are in the for loop is by using x. So we saw that we used x as a counter. Or we could also rename this counter to be a little bit more specific about what it is. All right, and then we're gonna attach it to the end. So we're gonna add in the counter. All right, so let's talk about what I just typed here. So I just did a plus, which means concatenate or combine these two things together. And then I typed str with counter in parentheses. So what str means is it's turning something that is an integer into a string. So we learned about 2 different data types. We learned about strings and integers. All right, and counter is an integer because it's a whole number. It doesn't have quotes around it. All right, so in order though to have her say it, it needs to become a string because we can't combine 2 different data types. All right, so now what's gonna happen is she's gonna say, I'm in a for loop, and then she's gonna say whatever the counter is at that point. All right, so we're gonna run it and see what happens.
I'm in a for loop 0. I'm in a for loop 1. I'm in a for loop 2. Done with the for loop.
All right, so every single time she said 0, then she said 1, then she said 2, because the counter is a variable that's being increased every time that she runs the for loop. All right, after she gets done with 2, the counter goes up to 3, but at that point, it can't run the for loop again because we told it to end when it hits 3. All right, so it stops the for loop, and then it goes on to the next lines, which is done with the for loop. All right, and that's how to use a for loop.